A millionaire stands frozen, heart racing, as he spots a girl bearing the same birthmark he has. Are you my father, sir? Before we plunge into the tale, share a comment below and reveal your location. Immerse yourself in the tale. Rain lashed the windows of Brexton Cafe where Blake Anderson loosened his tie, a weary sigh escaping his lips. Another day, another life-changing deal sealed. Success felt like a dull echo, a shadow of its former thrill. At 38, he possessed all the riches imaginable, yet an irreplaceable void lingered within. Blake's eyes flicked to his watch. 7:30 p.m., the boardroom tension wrapped around him, heavy and suffocating like the dampness outside. He craved this fleeting moment of calm before facing the solitude of his empty penthouse. The familiar Mr. Anderson. The barista's smile flickered as he began crafting the Americano. He nodded, lost in thought, eyes drawn to a small figure huddled beneath the cafe's awning, rain cascading down the glass. A small child, no older than 6, sits alone on the rain-soaked sidewalk. Her solitude gnawed at him, a haunting presence he couldn't ignore. It's too late and too dangerous for children to be out here alone, especially with the storm closing in. Wait on that coffee, he said to the barista as he stepped out into the world. The little girl gazed upward, her heart racing as his shadow loomed over her. Large brown eyes pierced through him, a calmness belying their youth. Her clothes, tidy yet faded, clung to her frame as she held her small backpack tightly against her chest. Are you really okay? Blake leaned in, eyes locked on hers. Where are your parents? I'm waiting for my grandpa, she said, her voice steady, but her eyes betrayed a storm within. He's late sometimes, Blake nodded, watching her tuck a dark strand behind her ear, a gesture that gripped him, tightening his chest in a way he couldn't ignore. I'm Blake. Who are you? Madison Parker, she declared, her small hand reaching out with an unexpected gravity. Parker. The name struck him hard, a jolt of recognition, but it had to be mere coincidence. Madison. The darkness is closing in. Let's stay inside where it's cozy and safe. Let's grab hot chocolate as we wait for your grandpa. With a moment's pause, she nodded, clutching her backpack tightly. As she grasped his hand, her sleeve slipped, exposing a striking crescent-shaped birthmark on her wrist. Blake stood still, breath hitching in his throat. The birthmark, a mirror of his own and his mother's, bound them in an unbreakable lineage. That's a captivating birthmark, he rasped, his voice thick with emotion. Madison said it matter-of-factly. My mom had the same one. She was gone before I took my first breath. Blake felt the ground shift, a dizzying plunge into chaos. Was your mother's name Jessica? Madison's eyes flashed with shock. Absolutely. Do you know my mom, Blake? He braced against the wall, memories crashing over him. Jessica Parker, his first love, the woman who slipped away after college. Madison, when do we celebrate your arrival? February 12th, she replied. Precisely 9 months since he last laid eyes on Jessica. My daddy's name was Blake too, Madison said, her eyes wide with innocence. That's what Grandma said, but he vanished before I took my first breath. In that instant, drenched in rain beside a child he never knew, Blake Anderson's entire world crumbled to dust. Blake's gaze locked onto the DNA results, cold proof of his fears in spotting Madison's crescent birthmark 2 weeks prior. 99.9% chance he was the father. Words swirled, slipping away as his fingers tangled in his hair. This is impossible, he whispered, the undeniable truth crushing him. Rachel knocked gently, then stepped into his office. The investigator called. He found Jessica's death certificate. Then, a pause. Madison's birth certificate. You're named as the father. Blake's throat constricted. Why was she silent? We might be apart now, but this still lingers. She insisted her parents tried, claiming she called your office countless times. Blake's brow furrowed. No messages ever came to me. Rachel dropped a folder onto his desk. I reviewed our records from that time. Jessica's calls came through, but each one was marked as handled by Uncle Harold. Blake felt a sudden plunge in his gut. Harold was more than a mentor. He was Blake's lifeline after the loss of his parents. The thought that his uncle could have intentionally kept Madison from him was unimaginable. But wait. Rachel pressed on. These were hidden in the archives. She pulled out a few envelopes, each bearing Jessica's familiar handwriting, still untouched, all marked, sent back with a familiar scrawl. Harold's unmistakable handwriting. He snatched her letters away. Blake's whisper crackled with rising fury. It appears that way. And there's more to it. Harold twisted your inheritance then, seizing control as executor until you hit 40 or... Rachel hesitated. What then? Or until you created a family of your own. The pieces fell into place, a chilling realization dawning. For years, Harold held the reins of Blake's vast inheritance. A child would have shattered that deal in an instant. Blake shot up, heart racing. I must see my uncle immediately. Harold's corner office radiated authority, a perfect reflection of the man within. At 65, he stood tall, silver hair impeccably styled, eyes sharp and calculating as Blake stepped inside. What brings you here, unannounced? Harold inquired with a calm intensity. Blake hurled the DNA results onto Harold's desk. Have you heard? Harold's eyes flickered over the paper, his face a mask of stillness. Concerning your slip with that Parker girl, timeless echoes of the past. Not quite old enough. I have a daughter who means everything to me. Harold's jaw clenched, a silent storm brewing within. A tragic turn, no doubt, but barely matters to the company. You took her from me, Blake whispered, his tone chillingly low. You silenced Jessica, buried her words. Why must it be this way? Save the theatrics. At 25, you stood on the brink of greatness, ready to CEO title. A child could have shattered our dreams. All that you fought for, Blake corrected. You crossed a line. Harold leaned in, heart racing. Your future is safe because of me. She was never worthy of you or this family. Her child was nothing but a distraction. Madison, Blake hissed, teeth grinding together. She is my daughter. Be reasonable. Harold's voice cut through the air, sharp and unyielding. What are your intentions? Be a father figure to a stranger. You have no idea what it takes to nurture a child. Blake hesitated at the threshold, a weight in the air. Tomorrow, I face my lawyers. I'm fighting for custody. Harold's laugh pierced the silence, chilling to the bone. Do you honestly believe a driven bachelor, untouched by parenting, can succeed? Don't sacrifice it all for a guilt that isn't yours to bear. Watch me, Blake said, shutting the door with a finality that echoed in the silence. The Parker residence was unassuming. A weathered craftsman house, its blue paint peeling, stands beside a garden bursting with life. Blake gripped the steering wheel, heart racing, words swirling in his mind. This was more than just a deal. She was his everything. She was his everything. With 3 deep breaths, he stepped toward the door. A frail old man with gentle eyes responded. Robert Parker, the man who shaped Jessica's world. Mr. Parker, I'm Blake Anderson. I know you've been waiting for. Robert's gaze was cautious, yet held a flicker of warmth. Madison can't wait to finally meet you. She can't stop fixating on the man who bears the same birthmark. Martha Parker sat rigidly on the couch, her disapproval etched in every line of her face. Blake felt no anger, only understanding. In her gaze, he was the one who left her daughter alone, heavy with child. Mrs. Parker. He nodded, a silent acknowledgement heavy with meaning. You look just like your pictures, Martha said, her voice devoid of warmth. Jessica held on to every last one. Blake's heart clenched at the sound of Jessica's name. Madison burst into the room, halting in her tracks at the sight of him. You came, she said, her voice laced with astonishment. I swore I would. Blake knelt beside her. He offered her a tiny velvet box. Inside lay a silver locket, a haunting reminder, holding a photo of Jessica from his college days. That's my mommy, Madison whispered, her fingers brushing the picture with a tender reverence. It is true. Blake agreed, breath caught. I thought you might like to have it, Madison said, her gaze piercing through him. Are you truly my father? Her question hit him like a bolt, leaving him momentarily speechless. Absolutely, Madison, I am. Where were you all this time? Her voice held no accusation, only raw curiosity. Blake's eyes flicked to the Parkers, then returned to Madison, tension crackling in the air. I had no idea about you, darling. If I could have, I would have been here, I swear. As Madison revealed her room to Blake, his phone buzzed incessantly. 12 calls from Harold, all unanswered. He extinguished it, Her smile mirrors yours. Robert watched as Madison vanished to retrieve her drawings. Her eyes mirrored Jessica's. Blake's voice barely broke the silence. Robert nodded, a silent agreement hanging heavy in the air. Jessica always believed you'd return, even in those final moments. The words pierced Blake's heart like a blade. If only I had known. So, you've arrived, Robert said. So, will you stay? Just as Blake opened his mouth, his phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. Urgent situation. Harold launched a legal battle, igniting a fierce guardianship conflict. Lawyers poised in the office. Tension thick in the air. Martha stood in the doorway, a silent storm brewing within her. Your true existence awaits, Mr. Anderson. Madison can't bear another letdown. Blake slipped his phone into his pocket, a storm brewing within him. This is my truth now, Mrs. Parker. I'm here to stay. Madison appeared, her smile mirroring his, as if drawn by his very words. Please come back tomorrow, she asked, her heart racing. Blake grasped her tiny hand, a spark igniting between them. Each dawn and all the days that follow. If you allow me, then after that. After years of wandering, he finally felt the pull of home. Dad, that's not how it's done. Madison's laughter echoed as she watched Blake wrestle with her hair ties, a moment of pure chaos and joy. His hands, adept at sealing deals worth millions, stumbled over the innocent challenge of tying pigtails. Forgive me, my love. This is uncharted territory for me, Blake confessed, struggling again to tame her wild, dark curls. 3 weeks into his new role as Madison's father, Blake discovered that business skills meant nothing in the realm of parenting. Bedtime routines, school lunches, hairstyling, each day a fresh battle awaited. A voice emerged from the classroom doorway, offering a lifeline. Blake glanced back, catching the amused gaze of Madison's teacher, Olivia Chen. Morning drop-off had turned into his daily nightmare. Could you do me this favor? He asked, his voice thick with gratitude. Olivia deftly styled Madison's hair, her words weaving a captivating tale of technique. Blake's gaze was fixed, a fire of resolve burning within him. Here you are, Madison. Why not join the others at the reading corner? Olivia proposed. As soon as Madison was gone, Olivia faced Blake. How are you really doing? Can you see I'm sinking? He inquired, a wry smile playing on his lips. Every new parent faces their battles, she promised him. Even those who have spent 6 long years honing their skills. Blake's phone vibrated, a sudden jolt in the silence. Another message from Harold. He turned away. Hear me out, Olivia whispered. Madison's been sketching you in art class. She whispered to all that her daddy had returned from a distant journey. That's a step forward. A tiny triumph ignited a fierce pride in Blake's heart. Thank you for sharing that, he said, his voice heavy with emotion. Olivia said parents' night is Thursday. I realize this is last minute. I'll be there, Blake vowed, urgency in his voice. He stepped out of the school, and his lawyer's call pierced the silence. Harold demands a psychological evaluation. Your newfound interest in Madison feels like a midlife crisis, threatening her fragile stability. Blake's jaw clenched. Desperation claws at him. There's so much more. An emergency board meeting is on the agenda, hinting that your family troubles are impacting the company's success. In his office, Rachel sat, tension thick in the air, files piled high before her. Your meetings are now set around Madison's school hours. Here are the details. She offered him parenting books and details on nearby father-daughter events. Blake stood frozen, words escaping him. This is Rachel. Grateful beyond words. She paused, a weight in her voice. Harold's been seeing Jessica's ex since your breakup. Something feels off, and I can't shake the dread. Blake nodded, a shadow crossing his face. Mastering the rules of fatherhood proved to be a daunting journey. Struggling against a relentless uncle drained every ounce of energy. That night, as he settled Madison under the covers, her sleepy voice broke the silence. Are you leaving again? Absolutely not, Madison. Blake pressed his lips to her forehead, a silent promise in the air. I'm here to stay. For the first time, Blake sensed that Madison might truly believe him. Blake discovered the box hidden in Jessica's old room, a relic lost in the shadows of the Parkers' attic. Dozens of letters lay within, each one addressed to him, each one never sent. We had no idea, Martha said, her icy demeanor thawing just a bit. Jessica must have penned them while she carried life within her. Blake's hands shook as he unfolded the first letter. a relic from 8 years past. Blake, everything is about to change. Jessica had written, "Our child grows within me. Our child grows within me. I've reached out to your office 17 times. Your uncle claims you're too busy for me, but I refuse to believe it." Every letter unveiled Jessica's struggle, her fierce resolve to find him, her yearning for his return, her deep love for their unborn child. The last letter, penned mere days before her passing, shattered him utterly. "I know you would have wanted to meet her. I've named her Madison. She carries your birthmark, Blake. I can only hope she finds you one day." Inside him, grief clashed violently with rage. Harold had stolen him from his daughter. He had taken away Jessica's final years as well. In his office, Rachel stood, the weight of grim news heavy in the air. "Harold exposed documents, hinting at your pursuit of Madison for tax gains. The business blogs are buzzing with it." Blake's phone buzzed. A call from Madison's school. "Mr. Anderson, something has happened," Olivia said, her voice trembling. Children taunted Madison, their laughter echoing like daggers in her heart. "She's deeply troubled." Blake found Madison in solitude, her face a canvas of tears. "Tommy said you only want me for my money," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Is that really true?" Blake knelt beside her, heart racing. "Not a chance. You mean everything to me." "You're always consumed by work, and your anger flares when I falter." The words pierced deep, raw with honesty. Blake's frustration boiled over as Madison's careless spill ruined crucial papers, his mind racing with work crises, overshadowing their fleeting moments together. He confessed, "I'm still figuring out how to be a good dad. I swear I'll make it right." That evening, Harold stood at Blake's door, unexpected and unwelcome. "This charade ends here," Harold declared, slamming the folder onto the table. "Jessica was involved with another man when she discovered she was pregnant. Madison might not even be yours." Blake felt a chill seize him. Harold cut in, "The DNA test can be tampered with." The Parkers cling to hope, their need for financial support consuming them. "Consider this." As Harold walked away, doubt slithered in, relentless against Blake's attempts to push it aside. Why had Jessica kept everyone else a secret? A text from an unknown number lit up his phone, sending a jolt through him. "The truth about Jessica is haunting me. See you tomorrow, isolated." A photo surfaced, Jessica with another man, time-stamped, from when they were meant to be together. Blake's gaze locked onto the image, the earth trembling beneath him once more. All he believed about Jessica, Madison, and his new purpose shattered in an instant, leaving only doubt in its wake. The cafe where Blake met the enigmatic felt hauntingly desolate. A man stepped forward, mid-40s, unkempt, eyes burning with desperation. "You must be Blake Anderson," he said, sliding into the seat, eyes locked, tension thick in the air. "I'm Mark Stevens. After you two ended things, I had a brief fling with Jessica." Blake watched him closely, tension crackling in the air. "The photo is sent," Mark confessed, his voice steady yet heavy, "that Harold had given him 10 grand to claim I was with Jessica when she conceived. He possesses countless altered photos, each one a facade." Blake felt a rush of relief, quickly overshadowed by a wave of disgust. "What makes you share this with me?" Mark whispered. "Jessica deserved so much more. She still carries you within her heart." Your name lingered on her lips, even during our time together. Upon discovering her pregnancy, she cut ties with me without hesitation. "Did you know her when Madison was born?" Mark's head dipped in silent agreement. "I witnessed her last breath. She spoke of you in her final breath. At last, she would find you and bring you face to face with your daughter." The revelation struck Blake with brutal force. For years, he believed Jessica had kept Madison from him. Unaware, she fought fiercely to connect until her final moments. Blake raced to the company headquarters, heart pounding, as the board meeting unfolded without him. "Woody," Harold's words faltered as Blake stepped in, the air thick with tension. Amid personal turmoil, the company craves strong leadership. "I need to speak to the board." Blake cut in, urgency in his voice. Harold's face burned with shame. "This is deeply unsettling." "I'm still the CEO," Blake said, his voice steady but charged. Confronting the board, Blake chose the path that had haunted him since he first noticed Madison's birthmark. "Starting now, I'm stepping away for 3 months. My daughter needs me. I need time to be the father she deserves, Harold scoffed. This is the proof I needed. No, Uncle, Blake pressed on. I finally grasp what truly matters. For years, this company has been my priority. Holidays lost. Bonds broken. Life slipping away. I won't miss being Madison's father either. Whispers ignited in the boardroom. Harold's fist crashed down on the table. You're discarding all that your father created. I'm holding on to what truly matters, Blake shot back. This company will arrive in 3 months. Time slips away. My daughter's childhood is fleeting. That evening, Blake sat with Robert Parker on the porch swing, the air thick with unspoken words. The old man's gnarled hands grip a faded photo album tightly. Jessica had a diary, Robert revealed, flipping to a page where a tiny key was affixed. She sealed it tight before her last breath. She warned us that if anything ever happened to her, we should hand this to you one day. The tiny diary, unearthed from a safety deposit box, held Jessica's deepest secrets, her fierce love for Blake, and her relentless vow that Madison would know her father. The last note, written just before her death in childbirth, said only, "Tomorrow I'll hold our daughter, and soon after, I'll be with you, Blake. Finally, we'll be together as one." Blake shut the diary with a snap as his phone buzzed to life. It was his lawyer, the weight of the world hanging in the air. "Harold has rushed to secure emergency guardianship of Madison, asserting that you are mentally unfit. The hearing looms next week." Lines were drawn for war. Blake was battling for more than just his daughter now. He battled for the future Jessica had dreamed of, now lost to the shadows. Higher. 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 Madison's squeals pierced the air as Blake propelled her on the swing, her laughter echoing through the park. These Saturday morning outings had transformed into their cherished ritual, a simple joy neither dared to overlook. Blake glanced at his watch. Silence reigns, time stretches. For the first time ever, work faded into the background. Taking a leave was the right choice, even as Harold fought back with his legal tactics. "Watch me jump," Madison shouted, soaring from the swing, unafraid and alive. Blake's heart raced as she soared through the air, landing safely with a triumphant grin. "Be careful, sweetheart," he warned, a smile tugging at his lips, captivated by her daring spirit, reminiscent of Jessica's. "You worry too much," a voice whispered from the shadows. Blake turned, eyes locking onto a woman whose gaze held a spark of familiarity, warmth radiating from her expression. "I'm Sarah Williams," she said, her voice steady yet charged with unspoken stories. "I was everything to Jessica." Realization struck. Sarah nodded at the photos in Jessica's room. "I long to see you. The Parkers said you're battling for Madison." On a bench, they watched Madison play, Sarah's words weaving together the missing pieces of Blake's understanding of Jessica's last days. "This is a memory box," Sarah said, her voice trembling as she offered him the small package. For Madison's pivotal moments, Jessica captured videos and penned letters for her birthdays, graduation, and even her future wedding. Blake's throat constricted. She considered it all. "She always believed you'd reunite, even when the world urged her to let go," Sarah whispered, her voice heavy with emotion. That afternoon, Blake and Madison sat amidst Jessica's memories, photos, trinkets, recordings, each item pulsing with her lingering presence. Madison traced the photo, a bittersweet ache swelling within her. "Mom was beautiful. The most beautiful soul I've ever encountered," Blake agreed, both within and without. They watched a video Jessica recorded just before Madison's birth, her voice unwavering even through her exhaustion. "Madison, my dear, if you see this, remember you are deeply cherished. Your father would have loved you fiercely, just as I do." "Find him someday," Madison whispered, her gaze locked on Blake, eyes glistening with tears and a deep, unspoken understanding. She said it plainly. She wanted us together, more than anything else. "Blake is here." That evening, as he tucked her into bed, Madison gazed at him, her mind racing. "I made something for you," she whispered, revealing a drawing hidden beneath her pillow. The crayon artwork depicted 3 figures, a towering man, a small girl, and a woman, all enveloped by shimmering stars. "It's us, Together with Mom, looking down from above, Madison whispered. Blake's throat tightened. It's everything. It's everything. Just as he reached for the switch, Madison's voice pierced the silence. Sleep well, Dad. 3 words that turned his life upside down, bringing everything into sharp focus. Good night, darling, he murmured, his voice heavy with feeling. Outside Madison's door, his phone vibrated, a message from his lawyer cutting through the silence. Harold pulls back the guardianship petition. Triumph. Blake's smile lingered as he slipped the phone into his pocket. His heart swelled as he heard the soft whisper of Dad from the room behind him. A moment of pure triumph and peace. Blake's gaze locked onto the quarterly reports, the figures blurring into chaos. At 3 a.m., he toiled on, frantic to salvage the Miller account that had inexplicably begun to fall apart while he was away. His phone buzzed, a desperate email from the board. 3 key clients threatened to pull out, alarmed by the chaos in leadership. Harold's fingerprints stained every inch of this. The kitchen light burst to life, illuminating Madison in her pajamas, tightly holding the stuffed elephant he had gifted her. What keeps you up at this hour? She inquired, her eyes weary from fatigue. Blake shut his laptop with a heavy heart. Just a bit of work, my love. What's the matter? The dream returned, haunting me. Mom was there. Blake drew her close, inhaling the intoxicating fragrance of her shampoo. Nightmares began the moment Harold sent a reporter to Madison's school, the article hauntingly questioning if a workaholic bachelor could truly care for her. Madison whispered. Grandpa's coughing is getting worse. Grandma wept, her sorrow palpable. Blake's stomach knotted with dread. Robert's health plummeted in a matter of weeks. Pneumonia, they claimed. Yet Blake had his doubts. Harold's relentless legal battles were crushing him, each move deepening the weight on his soul. Oh, tomorrow, we'll see them, Blake vowed. Morning unleashed a storm of complications. As Blake prepared breakfast, Olivia's call pierced through the morning silence. A social worker stands here, her voice tight, probing into Madison's home life. Blake's jaw tightened. Harold, Blake, they say Madison is struggling at school. You have to come in now. At the school, the social worker, clearly influenced by Harold, scrutinized Blake's struggle to juggle work and parenting. Olivia stood by him, her hand fleetingly touching his, a silent vow of loyalty. Unexpected warmth surged through him. Amid the darkness, their deepening bond shone like a beacon. I appreciate you standing by me, Blake said to her later. Always, Olivia replied, her smile igniting a fire in his heart that he thought had long extinguished with Jessica. That fateful afternoon, Martha. Parker sobbed on the line. Robert lay in the hospital, fighting for every breath. They say it's his heart now, she cried. Blake, we were everything to Madison. If anything happens to Robert, the silent question lingered, heavy and charged. Would Madison take the leap to live with Blake forever? Blake rushed into the hospital, spotting Harold deep in conversation with a doctor, plotting against me with the Parkers. Blake's voice cut through the silence as soon as the doctor stepped out. Harold's face betrayed nothing. Robert's health worries me deeply. I'm not manipulating a child like you are. You orchestrated it all from the start. Blake's breath caught, a sharp sound escaping his lips. You separated me from Jessica, from Madison. Just see the chaos unfolding since you stepped in. Harold cut in sharply. Robert's health is slipping away. Madison trapped in haunting nightmares. Your company is bleeding money. Blake recoiled. Harold pushed forward, undeterred. Admit it, life was brighter before you chose to take on that role. Doubt clawed its way back into Blake's mind. Was Harold truly correct? Was he ruining everything for everyone? The phone chimed, shattering the silence. The Miller account was officially gone. Revenue vanished. Millions lost. Everything was crumbling, but Blake was not. He wondered how much longer he could keep it all from falling apart. All eyes turned as Blake stepped into the boardroom, the air thick with tension. 14 unforgiving gazes fixed on him. Harold sat at the table's edge, commanding attention. A smile of satisfaction flickered across his lips. So relieved you're here, Blake, Harold remarked with an icy calm. We were deep in conversation about the company's fate. Blake dashed from the hospital, where Robert's condition hung in a precarious balance, serious yet stable. The emergency board meeting, summoned in silence, his wisdom. It was as if the last move in Harold's intricate chess match had been played. "What's going on here?" Blake insisted. The board chairman's throat tightened. "In light of recent events, we have made the difficult decision to suspend your role as CEO. Starting now." The word struck Blake with brutal force. "Why? What's the reason?" Harold pushed the document forward, tension crackling in the air. "The Miller account's exit set off a chain reaction. 4 major clients are gone. Stock plummets 17%. Clients you pushed to depart." Blake shot back, fury igniting. "That's a heavy charge," Harold responded with a quiet intensity. "Is there evidence?" Blake chose silence. They both felt it deep inside. A sudden knock shattered the silence. Rachel, Blake's assistant, stepped in, her face drained of color. "You have to see this," she whispered, pressing the tablet into Blake's hands. A breaking news story flashed across the screen. Hidden shadows of the CEO's past. Blake Anderson left his pregnant girlfriend behind. A forged email surfaced, supposedly from Blake to Jessica, denying any accountability for her pregnancy. "This is a lie," Blake hissed, teeth grinding. "I never wrote this," Harold said, masking his true feelings. "The timestamp aligns with Jessica's desperate attempt to contact you. Have you forgotten?" Just as Blake opened his mouth, the phone shattered the silence. Martha Parker, the reporter, revealed the email, her voice sharp with fury. "How could you do this? All this time feigning ignorance. Martha, that can't be right. Stay away from Madison," she said, her voice sharp and final. "Robert and I are taking the step to secure permanent guardianship." The room whirled around Blake. In a single devastating moment, he lost everything, his company and possibly his daughter. Olivia stood outside the boardroom, her face a mask of tension. She whispered that the school had received calls from worried parents. "The principal believes it's for the best if you skip the father-daughter dance tomorrow." "Do you really buy into this nonsense?" Blake pleaded, his voice trembling. Olivia's pause spoke volumes. "I want to trust you, Blake, but the proof," Harold's deception laid bare. Olivia stepped back, her heart heavy. "I need to think about what's best for Madison. Perhaps it's time to pause and reflect on us." By evening, Blake sat alone in his apartment, the toys and books for Madison haunting the silence, scheduled encounters. His phone vibrated, a message from Martha lighting up the screen. Madison's tears fell like rain after the news broke. "She can't grasp the reason behind your deception." A knock at the door. Harold stood there, his gaze heavy with unspoken understanding. "I have a solution," he said, his voice steady yet charged. "Step down as CEO for good. Relinquish your voting shares, and I'll erase the narrative. The Parkers will allow glimpses of Madison now and then." Blake's gaze pierced his uncle, the architect of his shattered existence. "Why not?" Blake's voice barely broke the silence. "Why shatter all that I hold dear?" Harold's mask shattered, exposing the raw bitterness within. "Your father picked you over me even after everything I gave up. I forged this company while he sheltered you. Then he abandoned it all to his beloved child." As Harold walked away, Blake felt the weight of his total loss. Madison's trust, Olivia's unwavering support, and the future he dared to hope for. Jessica's photograph pierced him, her smile a haunting echo of his failures to shield her. Blake lingered in the shadows of his childhood home, a haunting reminder he'd long fled. Dust sheets cloaked the furniture, memories haunting every shadow. Having lost it all, he sought refuge in the only place Harold couldn't reach, the humble home his parents had cherished before his father's rise to wealth. 7 days since everything shattered. Silence from Madison. Silence echoed in the void of his heart. Messages detailing the forged emails. Every attempt by his lawyer to challenge Harold's story hit a wall, leaving no room for escape. Blake opened Jessica's diary, poring over her words once more, desperate to uncover what he had overlooked. Her last words echoed in his mind, a relentless ghost. "Finally, we'll be together as one. I let you down," he murmured. I let Madison down." He drifted through the hushed rooms, finally arriving at his father's forgotten study. The family photo on the desk whispered of joy long past. Blake, just 10, beams as his parents smile. Harold lingers at the edge, his face a mask of mystery. Had the bitterness lingered all along? How had Blake missed it all this time? He opened his father's desk drawer on a whim, discovering old business files, family documents, and a sealed envelope bearing his father's handwriting, stirring a rush of emotions. A letter lay inside, dated just 2 days before his father's. Heart stops. Life fades. Blake, I'm worried that Harold's grip on you is turning toxic. To him, the company is everything. His ultimate triumph, not just a way to find purpose. Never forget the reason we created this company. Not for riches or dominance, but to forge a legacy. Something that truly resonates. Don't let ambition rob you of your happiness. Your pursuit of success over connections mirroring Harold is striking. Avoid my missteps. Years slipped away as I chased what Harold deemed vital. It never was. You exist. Blake collapsed into his father's chair, the weight of the truth crashing down. Years of transformation, all to fulfill Harold's vision of him. Relentless, merciless, isolated, just as his father had foreseen. The doorbell shattered his thoughts. Rachel stood on the porch, gripping a heavy folder tightly. I've been worried about you, she said, stepping inside. I discovered something profound. The folder held the damning proof of Harold's secrets. Control. Years of intercepted messages between Jessica and Blake. Financial records reveal Harold's calculated theft of Blake's inheritance. And most shockingly, his recent messages to the clients who turned their backs on Anderson Enterprises. Where did you find these? Blake stood frozen, disbelief etched on his face. Harold's. The assistant favors me over him. Rachel's smile was faint, yet it held a world of unspoken emotion. Harold's lies unraveled, the truth piercing through the shadows. Harold's lies unraveled, the truth piercing through the shadows. Seized the chance to reclaim the company. As Blake scanned the documents, a startling truth hit him hard. The company faded into insignificance. I've been pursuing the wrong things, he murmured. What truly matters now? Rachel inquired. Madison, becoming the father she needs. Blake rose. A rush of understanding surged within him. Harold stripped away all I held dear, revealing my misplaced values. My father's warning echoed in my mind. Jessica understood the stakes. She never failed to do so. He retrieved his phone, staring at Madison's drawing, a rush of emotions flooding over him. Free together, a family bound, while Jessica gazes from the stars. Blake's resolve was clear. I know what I need to do. That night, he raced to the cemetery where Jessica lay. He had steered clear of this place, terrified of confronting the depth of his grief. He had to reach her, now more than ever. Kneeling by her grave, Blake poured out his soul. Woe, revealing the truth about Madison. That smile, it pierced through the darkness. Her laughter echoed, a fleeting spark of joy that ignited the silence. Her strength mirrored her mother's. He voiced his regrets, seethed with anger over Harold's betrayal, and trembled at the thought of losing Madison forever. Blake vowed, I won't let him win. This ends here. I will battle for her, not through wealth or dominance, but by unveiling the truth. With all my heart, just like you would, possess. As dawn shattered the silence of the cemetery, Blake was struck by a feeling long forgotten. Despair fades, and a flicker ignites. Harold had seized his company, tarnished his reputation, and momentarily shattered Madison's trust. Yet, he couldn't bear Blake's fierce resolve to become the father Jessica had always envisioned. Blake stood, a silent promise forming for the woman who had always believed in him. He would seize back what was rightfully his. Not the business, but the love of his daughter. Blake fixed his gaze on the worn oak door of the Parker residence, bracing for the sting of rejection. The evidence folder Rachel had assembled weighed heavily in his hands. Raw honesty. It could vindicate him, yet the pain he inflicted would linger. Martha replied, her face tightening with resolve. You shouldn't have come. Please, Blake whispered, urgency lacing his voice. Just 5 minutes. To Madison. To Madison. His voice pierced through her resolve, and with a heavy heart, Martha stepped aside. The living room held its breath, punctuated only by the relentless beep of machines. Robert lay in bed, discharged yet trapped, an oxygen tube winding across his worn features. You shouldn't be here, Robert said, his voice steady, lacking the fury Blake anticipated. Blake dropped the folder onto the coffee table, a weighty silence hanging in the air. I was blindsided by Jessica's pregnancy. These documents reveal Harold's betrayal. He intercepted her calls, returned her letters, fabricated that email. For years, he's pulled the strings, deceiving us all. Martha's hands trembled as she leafed through the papers. This truth doesn't ease Madison's pain. She believed in you completely. Blake nodded in understanding. I'll dedicate my life to regaining your trust. Just let me see her again. Robert and Martha locked eyes, a world of unspoken words passing between them. At last, Robert nodded, exhaustion etched on his face. She stands at Sarah's door, heart racing. He called her Jessica's friend. She longed to escape this place afterward. All that matters. Blake felt shattered by the depth of understanding in Robert's eyes. The old man's hand trembled as he reached out. Jessica would have fought for you, Robert whispered, his voice heavy with unspoken pain. Fight for her, now. In Sarah's tiny apartment, warmth radiated from the walls. Each photo of Jessica, a haunting reminder of love lost. She met Blake's gaze, hope flickering in her heart. Confusion envelops her, Sarah cautioned. She believes you deceived her about Jessica's pregnancy. Madison sat on the couch, her small frame tense with pain as she caught sight of him. The fatigue in her gaze, reminiscent of Jessica's, pierced deeper than any financial setback. Madison, Blake whispered, kneeling before her. I have something crucial to share. He revealed how Harold had shielded him from the truth about her, revealing Jessica's unsent letters. Rachel's evidence loomed large. He revealed the memory box Jessica had crafted, and it took her breath away, evidence of her parents' deep longing for her. Blake spoke softly. Your mom never gave up on reaching me. If I had known you, nothing could have held me back. Madison's expression was a fortress, impenetrable and tense. Uncle Harold claimed you never wanted a child. You kept your distance for that reason. Harold, Blake admitted the lie. I've erred in many ways, but my love for you was never a misstep. He revealed a tiny box. Within lay the deed to his childhood home. I'm staying for good, he said, his voice heavy with finality. Your school has a vast backyard, just around the corner. A room awaits you, whenever you choose to step inside. Madison's eyes flickered with surprise. What's the story behind your fancy apartment? What about your company? They don't matter, Blake said, his voice flat yet piercing. You really do. The first fracture in Madison's facade emerged, a fleeting warmth in her gaze. Can I ponder this for a moment? She whispered. Take all the time you need, Blake promised, his voice steady yet filled with unspoken weight. I'm here to stay. As Olivia graded papers, Blake stepped into her classroom, the air thick with unspoken tension. I have proof that exonerates me, he declared, urgency in his voice. Harold created a web of lies. She scrutinized the documents, heart racing with each revelation. I wanted to trust you, she confessed. Madison aches for you. In art class, she can't stop capturing your essence on paper. Blake admitted his mistakes, a weight heavy on his heart. Choosing work over love, allowing Harold's shadow to loom large. Yet, loving Madison remains a forbidden truth. Olivia's professional facade cracked, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. Friday marks the father-daughter dance. Could you still make it? Blake's lawyer examined the evidence against Harold, a fierce determination igniting within. She revealed this could lead to his removal from the board and possible criminal charges. Board members are starting to doubt Harold's leadership as the stock continues its steep decline this week. But Blake had tuned out completely. A tiny detail in a document seized his focus. A hidden clause in his father's will, a secret that could shatter everything for Harold. Blake understood that the company was destined to create a charitable foundation in his mother's honor. The profits were meant to aid children who lost parents, just as Madison almost lost both of us. Blake's mind sharpened as the true purpose of his father's vision emerged. Not wealth or power, but the creation of something profoundly meaningful. That evening, he reached out to a loyal board member. Blake's voice trembled. I need your help, not to reclaim my position, but to pay tribute to the true essence of Anderson Enterprises. In that moment, everything clicked for Blake as he finally grasped a full reality of Madison's presence. Not only taking back what Harold stole, but forging a brighter future for his daughter. The Anderson Enterprises charity gala sparkled with opulence and exclusivity. Crystal chandeliers flickered, casting fractured light over the city's elite. their hushed voices weaving dreams of business deals and summer homes. Blake tightened his tie, a stranger in a familiar crowd. For years, he had been the host. But tonight he was just a man, truth igniting his pocket, determination fueling his heart. Madison gripped his hand tightly. "Are you afraid, Dad?" 2 weeks of fragile healing unfolded. Madison returns to his childhood home on weekends, piecing together trust, moment by moment, a flicker of truth. Blake confessed. Choosing what's right outweighs the grip of fear. Olivia stood beside Madison, radiant in a sleek blue dress. Her silent presence was his lifeline amid the chaos. "Whatever happens," she breathed out, her voice trembling, "we stand by your side. We stand by your side." Harold commanded the room, embodying the role of a compassionate leader. His smile vanished at the sight of Blake. "You weren't invited," Harold said, his voice icy as he closed the distance. "I was," Blake replied, a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. Whispers of doubt surrounded Harold's leadership as board members discreetly orchestrated Blake's invitation, seeking clarity in the tension. Harold glared at Madison, tension crackling in the air. "Exploiting a child as a mere tool? This is a new low. Even for you." Madison moved unexpectedly, her heart racing. "He's not taking advantage of me. I longed to be there." Harold's expression turned to stone. "This is completely unsuitable for a child." Blake argued that lying wouldn't keep her away from her father. The air thickened, silence heavy with unspoken words. Blake's gaze met Rachel's, a silent cue. She flicked the switch and the room came alive. The colossal screens revealed the truth. Harold's caught, whispers of deceit, counterfeit truths, and shadowy transactions. For 8 years, Blake captivated the breathless crowd. Harold Montgomery hid the truth. "I have a daughter." He snatched Jessica Parker's messages, sent her letters back, and buried the truth deep. Gasps and murmurs swept through the room. Harold's face burned with rage. "These documents reveal his deceit, turning Madison's grandparents against me." Blake pressed on. He twisted clients' loyalties, driving them away, and compelling the board to oust me. As Blake finished, the board members' eyes filled with unease. "I'm not here to take back what's mine. I stand here, driven by the legacy my father left behind, a purpose Harold chose to conceal, to support children who have lost parents, just as Madison almost lost both of us." Harold lunged for the mic, heart racing. "This is outrageous. He's on the edge," a fragile voice whispered from the entrance. "It's true." Their presence hushed the room, leaving only tension in the air. Martha's voice trembled with conviction. "We've seen the evidence. Harold deceived us all." Harold's facade shattered completely. "This company belongs to me. I crafted it," as William cradled his beloved boy. The raw resentment stunned the audience. 3 board members rushed to Blake, a powerful shift in loyalty unfolding. Harold watched his empire fall apart. In a moment of urgency, he yanked Blake away. "Leave, now," he whispered fiercely. "I'll make you CEO again and hand over control. Let go of this fight and return the girl to her rightful place with her grandparents." Blake gazed at the man who had defined his existence, his guide, his family, his deceiver. Blake's voice dropped to a whisper. "You still don't get it. I'm not picking sides between Madison and the company. I'm not picking sides between Madison. I will become the man Jessica always saw in me." Harold's expression darkened, revealing the father Madison truly deserves. "This is a grave error." "No," Blake said, his voice steady yet heavy with finality. "I let you sway me, believing success outweighed family." With a furious exit, Harold left, and Madison's fingers intertwined with Blake's in a silent pact. "You picked me," she whispered, all lacing her words. Each time Blake vowed to sweep her off her feet, the board chairman drew near. "Blake, we must discuss what lies ahead for Anderson Enterprises." Blake nodded, captivated by Madison's smile, the ultimate reflection of his triumph. The headlines screamed triumph. Anderson Air reclaims its legacy. Family betrayal uncovered. CEO restored after uncle's deceit comes to light. Yet Blake held back the joy. Harold's shame twisted into a lethal edge, and Blake sensed the storm was far from over. 3 days after the gala, his worst fears came to life. Silence enveloped the Parker home as Blake stepped inside for Madison's weekend visit. Robert's absence by the window felt like a void, heavy and unsettling. Martha's absence leaves the kitchen silent. Is anyone there? Blake called, a chill slithering down his spine. A manila envelope lay on the coffee table, his name hastily written across it. Within lay a court order and a letter, penned by Martha. We brought Madison to our lake house. Harold's lawyers reached out, revealing that your company's financial woes might jeopardize Madison's future. Time is essential for reflection. We beg you, stay away. Blake's hands trembled violently as he pressed the digits. Silence echoes. They drove 4 hours to the lake house, leaving him in the dark, a choice that cut deep. Her lawyer's voice was heavy with dread when he reached out. Harold raced forward. He submitted an urgent petition, asserting that your capacity to care for Madison is at risk. He's exploited Robert's medical expenses. He's been covertly funding them, weaving a web of financial reliance. He can't have her, Blake breathed. There's so much more. The board meeting is tomorrow? Harold ignited a fierce uprising among minority shareholders. He says your emotional turmoil endangers the company's revival. He's proposing to purchase their shares for a handsome sum. Blake swirled, askew and unraveling. In the end, the truth shattered everything. Harold's lies lay bare. He faced the imminent loss of both Madison and the legacy his father created. What should I do now? Blake pleaded, urgency lacing his words. Decide, his lawyer urged, voice cold and unyielding. Battle Harold for the company or battle for Madison. We can't fight on two fronts at once. The decision that once appeared obvious now loomed as an insurmountable challenge. The company was more than just wealth and power. His father's legacy loomed large, a fragile promise of security for Madison, the bedrock of his dreams for a better world. Blake sped toward his childhood home, thoughts spiraling. Madison's drawings clung to the refrigerator, a silent testament to her world. The stuffed elephant sat on her bed, a silent guardian of her dreams. He was enveloped by the undeniable proof of the family they were destined to be. The phone shattered the silence. Olivia. The Parkers reached out to the school, she revealed. Madison is being pulled back, just for now. Blake, what's going on? Harold, Blake said, his voice heavy with meaning. Harold, Blake said, his voice heavy with meaning. One final strike to shatter it all. After the call ended, Blake remained in his father's study, overwhelmed by the burden of his impossible decision. Battle for the company that might save Madison's future, or battle for custody of the daughter who has already endured so much loss. A sudden knock shattered his concentration. Rachel stepped in, her face a mask of despair. You have to see this, she urged, setting the tablet down in front of him. Footage flickered to life, revealing Harold and Jessica from 8 years past, a moment frozen in time. The timestamp aligned with the moment she uncovered her pregnancy. If you go through with this, I'll ruin him, Harold said, his voice cold as Jessica's tears fell. Blake stands on the edge of despair, poised to lose it all, his inheritance, his future slipping away. Is that truly what you desire for your child's father? Jessica's voice trembled. Blake must learn the truth about his child. Then you'll both pay, Harold warned. This is your final warning. The footage ended abruptly. Blake's gaze locked onto the empty screen, a chill coursing through him. Where did you find this? It was buried deep within encrypted files, Rachel said, her voice trembling. Harold held it close, a silent promise of his menace. Blake's sorrow transformed into unyielding determination. This had transcended beyond him and Madison. Justice for Jessica burned fiercely, a testament to her sacrifice as she fought for their child. His phone buzzed, illuminating the screen with a message from Martha. Madison won't stop asking for you. She can't grasp the reason we departed. A new message arrived, a haunting photo of Madison. She clutched the locket, Jessica's face staring back, tears cascading down her cheeks. Blake stood, resolve ignited. Harold had trapped him in a cruel dilemma. Choose between his daughter and his legacy. Yet, maybe there was a different path, one that demanded he stake it all. Dawn shattered the silence of the cemetery, golden rays piercing the morning mist, as Blake neared Jessica's grave. He found Harold there, lost in thought, eyes fixed on the headstone. You knew I'd be here, Blake whispered. Harold stood still, unyielding. Your predictability is striking, a reflection of your father's sentimentality. Blake laid fresh flowers next to Jessica's name. I've chosen my path. I'm not battling you for the company. Harold turned, a spark of triumph igniting his expression. At last, a spark of bravery ignites. I'm surrendering everything. Harold's face turned to stone. What do you mean? I've given my shares to the Jessica Parker Foundation, a trust devoted to aiding single parents and children who have lost a parent. The paperwork was submitted last night. Harold's face drained of color. That's impossible. It's finished, Blake whispered. The shares are forever bound, unable to be sold or transferred, exclusively for the Foundation's mission. My father's dream for the company, shattered by your greed. Harold surged ahead, seizing Blake's lapels. You've shattered my entire world. No, Blake replied, his voice steady as he pushed Harold's hands away. I've preserved what truly counts. This will never pass the board. They've done it. This morning, 4 directors stepped forward as trustees of the foundation. Harold's face contorted with fury. What about your beloved daughter? How will you stand by her when the company is gone? I don't need millions to be a great dad, Blake said, his voice steady yet filled with conviction. Jessica felt it deeply. She understood the essence of it all. Harold's strength vanished in an instant, revealing a weary, defeated man. You've sacrificed a kingdom for a single soul. Love triumphed over power, Blake asserted. Harold scoffed at something you could never grasp. What about the Parkers? Madison is gone. Today, they're bringing her home, Blake whispered. When they watched the video of you threatening Jessica, it all became clear. Your petition has been dismissed by the court. Harold's face transformed into a look Blake had never witnessed. Paralyzing dread. That video was private, Harold breathed, urgency lacing his words. Nothing remains concealed for long, Blake responded. The truth cuts deep. Harold's eyes flickered to Jessica's grave, then snapped back to Blake. What will become of me? It all hinges on you, Blake whispered. Step down from the board. Fade away silently. I won't push accusations. Stay, and I'll reveal the truth about what you did to Jessica, to me. For a heartbeat, Harold appeared poised for battle, but then he crumpled, defeated. You never grasped it, Harold whispered. Everything was for the family name. No, Blake insisted. You did it for you. You tore our family apart for this. As Harold departed, Blake faced Jessica's grave, his hand resting softly on the cold stone. It's done, he breathed. We are finally free from his grasp. A car crept down the cemetery path. Blake's heart raced as he spotted the Parkers' old station wagon. Martha emerged first, with Robert trailing behind, each step heavy as he struggled with his oxygen tank. Suddenly, the back door swung open. Madison burst out, racing toward Blake, tears streaming down her cheeks. Daddy, she cried, collapsing into his embrace. Blake clutched her close, his tears streaming down uncontrollably. I'm right here, my love. I'm staying right here. He caught a glimpse of Olivia stepping out of the car, her smile breaking through a veil of tears. The morning sun pierced the mist, casting light on Jessica's name etched in granite. A quiet observer of a family, reunited, at last, after years of longing. 1 year later, Blake stood in the backyard of his childhood home, now alive with vibrant flowers and a swing set, memories swirling around him. Joy erupted as Madison sprinted after Daisy, their new puppy, through the vibrant green grass. Her smile eclipsed every deal he'd ever made, a treasure beyond measure. Can I help you with that? Olivia stepped onto the patio, her eyes locking onto Blake as he meticulously arranged cupcakes for Madison's birthday party. Please. He smiled, drawing her in for a fleeting kiss. In a year, their bond deepened, forged in devotion to Madison and fleeting moments snatched between school runs and bedtime tales. Blake couldn't fathom it. Madison was 7 today. He watched, heart racing, as she showed her grandparents just how high she could swing. Robert and Martha Parker had woven themselves into the fabric of their existence. With Harold's manipulations gone, Robert's health surged, a testament to the power of relief. They gathered for Sunday dinners and holiday celebrations, past conflicts fading into true warmth. Olivia whispered, her eyes glistening. Jessica would be proud, as she traced his stare. About the 2 of you? Blake nodded, his fingers brushing the framed photo of Jessica, a silent testament to their shared moments, forever cherished. They whispered her name, weaving tales and traditions to keep Madison's heart tethered to her memory. Jessica's memory box transformed into a cherished ritual. Every birthday, Madison unsealed another letter from the mother she had never met. Daddy, look, Madison exclaimed, her finger directing his gaze to the driveway. Sarah was pulling up, a large gift box in tow. Aunt Sarah's here. Blake felt the thrill in Madison's eyes. Sarah, the honorary aunt, wove Madison's past and present together, sharing tales of Jessica that breathed life into their home. The doorbell pierced the silence, and Blake hurried to respond. Rachel stood on the porch, a new weight on her shoulders as the executive director of the Jessica Parker Foundation. "Sorry I'm late," she whispered, her eyes glistening as she handed him the brightly wrapped package. The board meeting dragged on endlessly. A new scholarship program is set to launch next month. 15 children, each bearing the weight of loss, will have their college dreams fully funded. Blake's chest ignited with a familiar warmth. The foundation surpassed his dreams, transforming the lives of countless families in just 1 year. Jessica's legacy thrummed in his veins, a haunting reminder of the choice he made: love over power. A decision that reshaped his world forever. "Have you heard from Harold?" Rachel inquired, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Blake's head fell in disbelief. After their confrontation, his uncle vanished from public life, rumored to be living abroad. Postcards arrived for Madison, each one a fleeting whisper of distant places. Clumsy, hesitant gestures of connection that Blake neither embraced nor rejected. She had the right to choose her own path for family when the time came. "Blake," Olivia's voice pierced through the silence from the kitchen doorway. "The moment has arrived." They huddled around the table, eyes fixed on the cake, 7 flickering candles casting shadows of hope and longing. Madison perched in the chair of honor, her eyes ablaze with anticipation. Blake offered her a small velvet box before the candles flickered to life, a moment steeped in tradition. Their journey had begun. "This belonged to your mother," he said, as Madison unveiled the fragile silver charm bracelet. "She wore it at your age." Madison secured it tightly around her wrist, right beside the locket she always wore. "Can she see us?" she asked, her voice a fragile whisper, yet unwavering. Blake's voice trembled with certainty, emotions constricting his throat. As the last flicker of candlelight faded and the final gift lay open, Blake sank into the stillness of the porch swing. Madison's laughter echoed from within, where Olivia assisted her in slipping into the new dress. This moment, a joyful child and a warm home, held all the meaning in the world. His phone buzzed, a message from the board that could change everything. Even after stepping down as CEO, Blake clung to his father's legacy, bound by the foundation's mission. Under new leadership, the company flourished, its charitable mission reignited. The sky blazed in pink and gold, and Blake's heart raced as he recalled the journey that led him to this moment. 8 years stolen from his daughter, years forever gone, yet the future shimmered ahead, full of hope. The screen door groaned as Madison emerged, joining him on the swing. "I read Mom's birthday letter," she whispered, pressing close to him. "What did she pen down?" Blake pulled her close, his arm encircling her shoulders. "She urged me to hold on to the truth that love reigns supreme, far beyond wealth or status." Madison's gaze locked onto his, heavy with unspoken weight. "You enjoyed that, didn't you? Opting for me over your career?" Blake's eyes stung with unshed tears, overwhelmed by her deep grasp of his hardest choice. "Just like that," he breathed out. Madison's fingers danced over the charm bracelet, a flicker of hope igniting within her. She believed deep down that happiness awaited. "We created the family of her dreams." Blake kissed the top of her head, his heart overflowing. Jessica understood the truth long before he did. At last he grasped her lesson. No achievement is worth losing those you cherish. As the first stars flickered to life in the twilight sky, Blake and Madison clung to each other, swaying softly in the moment. Not the family of his dreams, but the one fate had destined for him.